first, the whole idea of a public consultation. The second, the all these wards. I'm not talking about Kormangla because people have voice there, but in most of these wards, do not have the political agency to speak, and there is no proper service delivery in this area. So it is, I think, in a way important that we have to look at it from a twin system. We have this mechanism of ward committees, but is it functioning in these areas? I'm not sure. Do you see visible residents in this area taking charge like you would seen in Putenhalli, and you've seen the residents come forward? You have seen in Yalanka, you've seen the residents coming forward. So there are certain areas or certain pockets in certain areas where residents have a voice, and they also have their access to media. But in all these residents, there is absolutely no access to media to be able for them to articulate that whole thing. So it's a two-way process. One is there has been a constant or inherent neglect of these areas where they were allowed to grow as is. Now, even if you look at Rajendra Nagar, if you look at the Slum Atlas 2010, you would find the depiction of slums, and all these slums have remained slums. All these slums, some of them have got upgraded. And you know the famous Ijipura. Ijipura actually began in 1970s because Kormangla was growing. And because Kormangla was growing, Ijipura became like a settlement for people to just come in and stay. Rajendra Nagar was a slum and was always in the news because of children falling over in the stormwater drains. And then the slum board decided that they would construct a housing of 950 houses. Now the BBMP is saying we'll put up meshes, we'll put up trash meshes on the window so people can't throw. But so when you're actually planning a city, you are not actually taking into account um, issues that matter. So actually for me also, because I've been working in the space of waste from 2009, it was a reality check, because I kept thinking, okay, there is only X% of Bangalore not segregating the waste. But if you go to see, while some of these areas have a dry waste collection center, the quality of waste is much poor than you would look at it from an area which has been exposed to constant IC. So if you don't have any information given, you don't have any facilities provided, you don't have proper hand holding, you don't have proper monitoring, nothing's going to change. It's two faces of the same coin. So you have to be able to empower the community for them to have an agency to speak up. At the same time, BBMP also needs to look at what will be interesting to look at now from what you've said. We'll also be looking at how much is the ward budget and where have they spent the money. I think that will be an important aspect as well, because to be able to then question why are some wards always receiving more, whereas some wards not receiving more. But till such time they come together, conduct, see, just going and doing door-to-door awareness is not going to happen. Even for the community members, because most of them are working class communities, with a few of them, with some of them with a middle class kind of a community or a neighborhood. But till such time they are able to actually see the value, they are able to trust what you are doing, for them to be able to take action, it is going to be a long battle. See, because I've had only one interview with the BBMP, and they did share with me the minutes of the meeting in terms of what was planned, and we've already read some of it in the newspaper, like the slaughterhouse was shut, and then this whole debate about slaughterhouse. But I don't think so. Shutting is something which is the solution. If that place existed for a period of time, then what were the things that they had to take into account before shutting it down? So you can't just arbitrarily go and shut down something. And they broke down certain toilets which were on the stormwater drains. Now, for a city that is planning to look at ODF certification in the ODS plus plus or in the Swachh Bharat rankings, toilets are an important feature, and especially in low housing communities or in informal settlements. Now, if how are you going to look at getting that whole connection down? And most of these housing also has the sewage going on directly, which means there has been no talking between different departments. So that is another sad state of affairs. So if you have a slum board that has built a housing without looking at other things and the buffer zone as well, if you're not kept in cognizance, I think the next thing is how do we also hold these institutions more accountable for for the constant neglect that has happened over the years. I think that is also an important take. I know that in some cases, people have gone to court, but that's again a long drawn battle. But for that, I think it will have to only happen if we have to collectivize and start talking about these issues. And I agree about the word imagination. I think it became everybody's favorite word after COVID, especially. And if you look at all the 2021, everybody, most of the articles in the newspapers, in on television, on podcasts, everybody used the word imagination or reimagination. Now, when I look at the word reimagination, I'm just looking at something which was once beautiful, became dark and dirty, and then going back to become. And then I think it's also for me, it's a way of seeing and way of seeing that was unseen. So when I use the word imagination, I'm not looking at it as creating something new. I'm looking at it more from a perception and more from an acceptance perspective. In some places, yes, but it's supposed to be underground in pipes. But very often it's let out. I don't have the picture, but like for instance, in one of the places where we went to look at in Sudamnagar, um, in this particular stretch, you can see those. Can you see the tiny box there? That was one of the outlets of coming in. You can see some of these tiny pipes that are coming out. They're all the sewage pipes that are just directly let in. I mentioned day before yesterday as well. If you read Malini Ramnathan, I think her last name is her essay on stormwater drains, and she's done a beautiful essay on stormwater drains in Bomanhalli, Madina Nagar. And what she says is that encroachments is loaded because it's a loaded term because it reeks of illegality. Now, illegality happens because people have either shut themselves off and let things happen, or there have been communities who have been on the periphery or disadvantaged communities wanting to stay have come in and stay because of whatever reasons. It could be access to land or whatever. So now, whenever there is a demolition drive, you will find all these things raised, but you will not find a Garuda Mall, a golf course, a diamond district going to be raised. You will only find these ones who will be the problematic thing. So for me, no, visual cleanliness, while it's important and it has its own merit, I think what you rightly pointed out, the functionality. So if I have to only look at it from a garbage perspective, I don't want this to happen here. Why can't why can't residents from this particular quarters be serviced? Why do we need these underground? And look at it. It says dry waste, wet waste. But look at the bins. It has both. It has mixed waste going into this. Who's going to clean it? Where is it going? It's going to our quarries. Quarries are another water source, and that water is again polluting our whole ecosystem. So if I have to look success, I would say that the BBMP has to work out and ensure that all these people are serviced and there is a minimum benchmark set in terms of segregation quality that comes in. Then the destinations of where it's going, they need to be able to track this whole thing. For post that, if you're looking at sanitation perspective, if there are any community toilets in this space, if they have been demolished, have they been reconstructed, where it is, how is it working? In fact, I can share with you an old report that I had done when I had studied a few community toilets in certain areas, and the state of affairs is really bad. So, if they are able to go by what is prescribed for community toilets in the Swachh Bharat manual, then I think there will be some measure. So, two important aspects that they have to do is one is waste segregation, and the second one is the sanitation perspective, including your sewage lines. I think we need to know where we stand now, and we need to be able to see the report. So that will be something that would then make a difference, because then people don't have the urge to throw. They throw because there is no other option. I think in this particular area, Rajendra Nagar, in the past, ITC also has worked here. I think there was another organization that worked. I have to find out what they had done is they had mobilized SHG groups and they had done a program. Christ University also was part of it. I have to go back and check why have they stopped, because we are going to be having a community consultation to find out what went wrong in this particular place and why was it stopped. Most often, it is the funding source then because of which it gets stopped. But the other aspect is there is also the government of India has notified the EPR rules, which is the extended producer responsibility under the plastic waste management rules. So as part of this now, if you see any of these companies are now responsible to pick up the plastic waste. So in that context, it will be interesting to see how this is now actualized on the ground, because if the responsibility of collecting and transporting is also with them, if the BBMP but if you look at the solid waste management rules, it is the duty of the BBMP to provide these services. So you'll have to look at how they can come together. And plus, there are a lot of waste pickers in these areas, and that is the other part of the rule is that they have to be integrated into the city's waste management system. When I started it, I just went by sheer intuition because I knew the road, and I've been in Bangalore for so long that I just knew the road. So I just started by just following the drain. So now that I'm staying in Cambridge Layout, I decided to just go around mapping where the Cambridge Layout drain goes into. Then I went into the Domlur side, and then asked some people, can I go across your property and have a look at it and all that. Some people have been very happy to oblige, and then I started looking at all these documents, started reading all these other books to look at a little bit more about the history of Bangalore, to trying to understand it. Went to the Central Library. So the start phase, and that time we also had a lockdown, that mini lockdown, and there were restrictions in place, so you couldn't really travel. So it started off like that, and whenever I had time, I would just go in this thing. Then it became more conscious, reaching out to people who've been working in the space, trying to get material as to who has the maps, and then the BBMP. So and then, but by and large, because I've been in a community radio setup, it was always talking to communities, and just talking to them to get their insights, talking to them. Some of it are not recorded because you also want to, like, if you go to Vivek Nagar and you just stand behind the bus stop, when you come by church, when you're towards entering NGV, you just stand there staring at the drain. You'll find some 10 people who'll come to you and they'll talk to you. So for most of the places, it has always been. Otherwise, you just go approaching people around and saying, "Tell us about it," and what is the history? Can you tell us a little bit more about it? So it's been largely observation, and it's largely been informal, because this particular project was actually meant to be a photo exhibition. But now, after being involved in this for so long, it's turning out to be that you can't just stop at it as a photo exhibition, but you'll have to look at it much more than. So there has to be something that comes out of it.